What's going on, YouTube? So we are back here today. I'm going to do filler paint versus rough layer lines. So this is a customer's print. This is a church steeple that we did in multiple pieces here, and I just wanted to kind of show the quality that I got out of it and what I'm going to do to try to make it just a little bit better with very minimal effort. So the client needs this white. I printed it in white, but our white actually had a little bit of red still in it. So on a couple of these prints I had some red banding, and I printed this upside down. So on the bed you can kind of see there was just some dinginess with the bed, and the very first layer was actually a little loose in this area. So I've got some of this here, and I'm just curious on this video how much of this we can get cleaned up. So I'm going to put this in the light so we get a real good view of the dinginess here, the dinginess here. And what we're going to use is, and we can see we've got, man, see it when it glued, it must have shifted just a little bit. I got a little bit of layer shift there. These are 3 different parts, so we can see there's multiple pieces here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what we're going to use is some sandable 2-in-1. Now, this is my first time using this. I've used a different brand before and it worked really good. But we're going to go ahead and use this. Now, I've already sprayed one of these, so I know what the effects are going to come out to be, but I want to show y'all because I'm really impressed with it, and I think you will be too. So we're just going to start, and feel free to be liberal with this. You don't want runs, but you want to do heavy coats. Now, this didn't specifically say that it was good for plastic. The other filler primer that I used said it was good for plastic. Because at first when I put this on there, I almost thought I saw bubbles, but it looked like it actually leveled out and went into the paint really well. So this looks like it does work good. I would say you could use it. But if you find one that is a filler primer for plastic, that might be what you want to use. Now, if you're new to 3D printing and new to painting, you want to paint like this. You want to, let it off on each end. You don't want to hold it like this. Don't do that. You want to release at each end there. And what I'm looking for is just kind of where it really starts getting thick and covering up the lines. Because what we're trying to do here is just kind of smooth the print to give it just a little bit more of a professional look rather than a rough 3D printed look. Like a really nice finish. Now, generally I can get a really nice finish out of these, and sometimes I would even reprint the item and just make sure that it's, from the print itself is good, but this client needed this print very fast. So I had to run my printers a little bit faster than what I normally would have done to get an even smoother surface here. But they needed 6 of these guys in 1 week. So if you're watching this and you got a 3D printer, do you think you could print something much larger than a can here 6 times in a week? Let me know if you've got enough. If you've got enough printers the right size that could do this. Now, I went through about what felt like half a can, maybe 60% of a can on the first one. Took me maybe 5 minutes. It's pretty windy today. Doing this outside in my backyard. So I'm really going to get heavy on this top part here because I want this to look really good. So let's look at that. I'm just going to literally, I'm heavy coating it. So I'm letting it pool up right here. And you can see that's kind of, it's not focusing. Yeah, you can kind of, keeps focusing on the stuff like that. But you can see that's actually covering up all those lines really well. So I'm going to get a really nice smooth top surface there. And going back and up and down the steeple, we can see that the steeple's getting pretty smooth. This isn't too many coats. This is just going really heavy, and I'm not even giving it time to dry. I'm just going around and around and around. Put in the comments if if you're looking at this and you've got a project that you want to smooth out, what you want to smooth, if you've done this before, comment about it, or if you do it after this video, give me a comment on how it turned out for you. But I found that this filler primer, you know, without any sanding, without any preparation, no acetone baths, this is just PLA, you can really fill in the lines pretty decently. Now, I don't think you're ever going to get a perfect surface, especially if the lines are pretty messy. If you've got a really good print and your lines already look really good, this right here will just make them disappear. But if your lines are real heavy, you've got some strays, you know, you've got some stuff like this can, you know, fill in the gaps just enough, and I think it'll look better than, you know, if you didn't do it. And it doesn't mean it's perfect, but, you know, do you want a C or do you want a B plus? Because this is what I put at a B plus right here. You know, you want an A plus, you might need to do some final work. You might need to get a better print from the start. Looks like I'm starting to run out here, but I'm pretty happy with the results so far. So I'll get some good up close here. I'm just gonna use this can up. Okay, so just in that time, so we can see that's where one of the breaks is. And we can see there's still layer lines. But I mean, when we're looking at this top, it's much more filled. You know, we're not seeing any dinginess. And now it really does help. So let's look at this one. So this is one, it's been drying for about an hour or so now. And we can still see it's got some little lines here. And we're still seeing lines up here. But it has helped. You know, how much? A little bit. Now, I do think that the other brand that I used was a bit heavier. Because straight up this brand, the Krylon, it seemed a bit more watery. The other stuff that I used was much heavier. And, you know, and I even got it to fill cracks like that with the other brand that I used. So I'll find that brand and we'll try this video over again, maybe with a different one. But I'm going to go ahead, we'll just go ahead and do this in the video, because this part needs to be white, and I've finished with the filler primer on this. This one actually looked really dingy. I mean, this is very well hidden now. I mean, we can still see a little bit of it, but, you know, you're not going to notice it like before. And this should look pretty good in white, I believe. Let's see what she looks like. Yeah, see, white takes away a lot of those shadows. That really helps hide it too, and it's going to coat on its own as well. So feel free to be heavy around those cracked areas that we were just looking at. This is coming out great. I'm liking it. Is it the best print in the world? No. Is it a B plus, an A plus? An A. This might even be an A when we're done painting it, in my opinion. We did have a break in the print, so the print's actually strong. I've tried pulling this apart, but for some reason it just caught right there on the outer line and didn't print it, so that's unfortunate. But for the timeline, I don't have time to print another one of these, so I feel very confident the client will be fine with it. If she's not, we'll work it out and I'll print her some more. But yeah, look at that, nice and white. Make sure we get all those vents real good. Sorry, I'm having to focus on where I'm spraying a little bit more than the camera angle. So I apologize if the video quality is a little bad there. But hopefully that looks. Yep. Okay. So I'm liking that. I mean that. So you can't even notice. Can't even see them now. The whites covered up those little spots. So we'll see when it dries, because it seems like every time it dries, in about 5 to 10 minutes, the thickness of the paint kind of absorbs in or whatever there. I can see I got at least one run, but I think that'll work itself out. Yeah, part looks really good. So yeah, does the filler primer work? It definitely does. You might try and experiment with different brands, but yep, awesome guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today.